Thank you very much for joining me. I know this is a busy week. We're halfway through the annual meeting, and you have traveled all the way from Kenya. Kenya is going through a lot right now. Your president was actually here in the U.S. and was giving the state visit at the White House just a few blocks away from here. And but things since he returned back to Kenya, things have been there's been a lot of interesting things going on in that nation. Talk to us about what brought you here and the conversation that you're having with officials from the World Bank and the IMF.
Great, thanks. And to just respond, I would say Kenya's governance system is on the blink, and what we have experienced for the past 6 months, or I should even say the 2 years of this, the Kenya Kwanza, we call it Kenya Kwanza regime, has been not has been a retrogressive one, where we have seen ourselves go very many steps back in terms of matters rule of law, matters governance in general. The principles of and values of governance really have been breached largely, and so Kenyans are experiencing high cost of living, and that can be addressed by just ensuring that there's good governance, which is lacking at the moment. And so, as civil society organizations under the umbrella of Okoa Uchumi, loosely translated as just basically safeguarding the economy, we have been pushing at both local levels and also regional and international levels to just ensure that ordinary Kenyans really enjoy the services that the government should be putting in place or perhaps just providing. And so, as part of advancing prudent debt management in the country, we have engaged with IMF both locally but also in this platform, because we believe when you talk about advocacy towards good governance, you must ensure that you advance that in all fronts. And so we are here to just have a conversation with IMF officials, but also appreciating the fact that as a platform, the Civil Society Forum exists. And so we use that platform to be able to have conversations with the officials to ensure that at the end of the day, the conditionality, the framework and parameters of engaging government is one that is in the interest of the people. Yeah.
I mean, the the president of William Ruto, since the protest during the summer, have taken some steps to reshuffle its cabinet. I see you smiling. Some of the moves that the government have made. Do you want to share your view? Are you happy with the direction that they are going?
Not really. I mean, I would say it's lip service, unfortunately, because there is no political goodwill. And the governance system in Kenya is really anti-people. And for instance, when we saw the public protests that happened in the months of June and July, there was an indication that the people's voice had been heard. And to be honest, we really appreciate the fact that with one of the most progressive constitutions, Article 1 of the same, which states that sovereign power belongs to the people, was actually invoked in those 2 months, where people really came out in numbers to just basically indicate their disgruntlement or dissatisfaction in the manner in which the governance of the country was being taken or run. And so we had hoped that changes would happen. But unfortunately, a few months down the line, nothing really has changed. When you talk about the cabinet secretaries, that question that you have raised, there was just a reshuffle of the same, and recycling rather. There was recycling of these cabinet secretaries and also inclusion of others that had questionable integrity. For instance, we have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which had, for instance, indicated that one of the nominees was not fit to hold a public office. But unfortunately, we saw these people sail through the vetting process, so nothing much has changed. Yeah, and some of the concerns that Kenyans had raised with the hope that they would change. Unfortunately, that did not happen. We continue to see abductions of youth, and the enforced disappearance of many as well, without justice and accountability. So really, we cannot say that we are in a good place as a country.
Okay. What you're saying, I've had conversation with other civil society member leaders from the continent. There's a lot of disgruntlement that is going on across the continent. The your generation and younger generation are not satisfied with the old way that things have been done. And there's been a call even from leaders for the World Bank and the IMF reform in the way that they deal with African nations and African civil society to be more inclusive, more transparent. Um, how do you see things? You mentioned that you are happy with the some of the conversations that are taking place in this platform. What if you are to concise this, like at the end of this on Friday or by this weekend, when this wrap up and they're preparing for the next spring meeting, African have often said like, okay, yeah, we go to this meeting, we don't see any result. What would you like to see?
Thank you. I think basically, and in a nutshell, it's just the inclusion, but also the consideration of the civil society input at the end of the day. What has not been appreciated over the years is the fact that people would come, of course, have a conversation, but the end product, the outcomes of these meetings do not reflect the interests of the civil society that are representing many Kenyans, many Africans who are especially in the low income cadres or vulnerable, and so some of the conversations and also conditionalities have really disregarded their interests. So basically, all we are saying and appreciating, as I've earlier indicated, is that this is a step in the right direction, that we are having this conversation. And I think what has really interested me and also made me happy is the fact that there is an acknowledgement that in this struggle, we all need the voices of everybody. We all need a concerted effort, both the IMF, World Bank, and also civil society and other critical stakeholders in different nations need to come together and work together to just ensure that we all meet a common goal. Unfortunately, that has missed, or perhaps the platforms that had previously been provided um, uh, purported to push that the voices are heard, but unfortunately, the outcomes of these conversations did not reflect the interest of many. But we are glad that this time round there is an acknowledgement that we all need to work together.
And we have people like you and other civil society members that are now holding people accountable. Like, okay, you said you will do this, and in 6 months, what are the results? So thank you very much for joining me. I hope at least while you are in DC, you happen to come during a very nice weather. So I hope you get to enjoy it. Why not? There's nothing like being back home. So, and we wish you a safe trip back home.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
I really
very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.